Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuromilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manupishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamhiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from second canto. Today we'll start chapter 9. So in the 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj, he asks many questions, 22 questions he asks to Shukadeva Goswami. And after asking all these questions, he says, please tell me whatever I have asked, and please tell me whatever I have not asked also. Jo bhi nahi bataya, sab bataiye, whatever I have not asked. So Shukadeva Goswami may say that, well, you have understood this previously also from all the sages. So why do you want me to speak it again? So Parikshit Maharaj says, because you are the most authoritative. You are as good as Brahma, and you follow the previous acharyas very properly. So then hearing this, Shukadeva Goswami may say, okay, we have asked so many questions, please arrange some prasad for you. Bhuk lagega beech mein to usme kha lijiyega. So he says, Name asva parayanti brahman anashanadami pibato achyuta piyusham tadvakyabdhi vinasritam. O Brahmana, I do not feel any exhaustion due to my fasting because I am drinking the nectar from your mouth. So Shukadeva Goswami became very pleased and he says, okay, I'll speak the same Bhagavatam which Brahmaji was described. Brahmaji was told to by Lord himself. Traha Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate. In the Brahma Kalpa, on the first day of Brahma, the same knowledge was given to Brahmaji by Supreme Lord. So I'll speak the same Bhagavatam. And then Shukadeva Goswami is ready to answer. So the 9th chapter is entitled Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. So in this 9th chapter, the first and second questions are answered, and the 4 basic verses of Bhagavatam, that is Chatushloki Bhagavatam, comes. So very detailed explanation of this Chatushloki Bhagavatam is given by Acharyas Chakravarti Thakur. So let's see how much we can discuss. Okay, so now Shukadeva Goswami is answering the first question of Parikshit Maharaj about the cause of the soul. So the soul is spiritual in 287. Parikshit Maharaj had asked this question. 287. The transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? So the relationship between the jiva and the material body. So body is matter, jiva is spirit. So this relation happens because of some cause, or is it causeless? So how does it happen actually? So Shukadeva Goswami, he tells actually there is no relationship between the body and the soul. It is all a dream. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atma Mayamrite Rajan
No meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer's seeing his own body working.
So now Shukadeva Goswami, he is answering. So this sambandha, this artha sambandha, the relationship between the jiva and the body and the senses and the jiva. So there is this relationship, actually it does not exist at all. Na ghateta artha sambandha. This sambandha is not at all there. Na ghateta. Actually does not take place. No? Na ghateta. Na means never. Ghateta. It can so happen. It never happens. There is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. Through Atma Mayamrite. So this relationship, is only an illusory state. It is all Maya. Unless one is influenced by this Maya Shakti, Avidya Shakti, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Avidya Shakti. So we have discussed earlier also. This Maya Shakti, she has three functions. What are the three functions of Maya Shakti?
It covers.
Okay, Avaranatmika, Prakshepatmika, and so there is Avidya, Vidya, and Pradhan. Okay, so these are the three prominent potencies of Maya. So Avidya is further divided into two parts, Prakshepatmika and Avaranatmika. And the Pradhan provides the material ingredients for all this universe. Pradhan Shakti. Pradhan is matter, no? Prakriti, no? So Prakriti is Shakti. So deity is Maya Devi. And there is Vidya Shakti also. So what is the role of this Vidya Shakti? We have discussed earlier also sometimes. So this Vidya Shakti, she, as soon as one starts understanding that I am not this body, I am soul, I want to work on it, he comes out of that avidya potency and comes under the Vidya potency of Maya Shakti. So under the influence of this Vidya Shakti, one gets self-realization. Atma Sakshatkar still is under Maya Shakti. Bahiranga Shakti ke andar hi hai. But Bhagavan realization comes under Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. So Mahamaya has three potencies: Vidya, Avidya, and Pradhan. Avidya means Prakshepatmika and Avaranatmika. Pradhan provides all the material ingredients. And the Vidya Shakti starts acting as soon as a living entity thinks, no, there is something greater than this material sense enjoyment. So that's how it comes under Vidya. So he's saying, Atma Mayam Rite, unless one is influenced. Avarana means, first of all, our knowledge of Jivera Swarupa Hoye Krishnera Nityadas gets covered. Avarana pad jata hai, just like the example is given of a person going to a movie theater. So first thing which happens is, all the lights are switched off. So the avarana of darkness is put. So this avarana of darkness is also put on the soul, ignorance. And then there is another light which goes on, prakshepa. So that is, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, Ishwaroham, Aham Bhogi, Siddhoham, Balavan Sukhi, Adya Vijanvan Asmi, all that thing. So that is the prakshepa and avarana. So only under the influence of this avidya shakti, one thinks that I have relationship with this body. Otherwise, there is no relationship. Because parasya means soul is ultimately pure. Spirit is pure. There are two types of consciousness, pure consciousness and contaminated consciousness. Pure consciousness is called chit, satchit, and the contaminated consciousness is called chitta. So there is just little different, lots of difference, but the word is only little bit of different. Chitta means contaminated consciousness. When one starts thinking that I am this body and things which are related to this body are mine. But in the pure state, parasya means the pure soul does not have this misconception. So therefore, actually he is in Anubhava Atmanaha, Parasya Anubhava Atmanaha, because he is pure in his consciousness. So therefore, he has no conception, no misconception. Only a person who has contaminated consciousness, he thinks there is a relationship. And you know what is that relationship? It is like Swapna Drashturi Vanjasa. It is like a person seeing a dream. So in dream, a person may have so many relations, but when he gets up, he forgets all that. And he doesn't take it very seriously. Prabhupada tells a story, one time a person, he brought 1 liter of milk in a pot and he started thinking, wow, I'll sell this and I'll make more money. So with that, he came home and he started dreaming. He went to sleep. सपने में उसने बनाया, उसने बेचा, फिर और 1 लीटर का 10 लीटर खरीदा, then उसका बिजनेस बढ़ रहा है. And then he gets a cow, फिर उससे और दूध हुआ, फिर और एक पूरा गौशाला हो गया. And then he thinks अभी उसके लिए अभी I have to put a servant, तो servant भी रख लिया. सब चल रहा है सपने में ही. And then to manage the servant, he thinks I should get married. सपने में शादी भी कर ली. फिर वो बोलता है I'll control my wife, and if she doesn't listen to me, I'll kick her. और सपने में ही एक लात मारता है. And then the pot of that milk breaks. So that is what happens. सब पूरा building खड़ा कर लिया, पूरा empire is there. As soon as he gets up, it is all dream, no relationship. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Maharaj Parikshit's question as to how a living entity began his material life, although he is apart from material body and mind, is perfectly answered. Spirit soul is distinct from the material conception, but he is absorbed in such a material conception because of being influenced by external energy, Atma Maya. In the first canto, 7th chapter, when Vyasadeva has a vision, what does he see? Anyone remembers? क्या देखते हैं वो? After Narad Muni tells him to do, I have just told you a sample, now you elaborate on it. Then Vyasadeva does tapasya. So what does he see? Anyone remembers?
He sees, I think he sees Mahamaya, he sees.
Okay, he sees Yogamaya, Mahamaya, yes, material energy, and he sees the Supreme Lord and he sees the material energy standing behind him, being ashamed. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam chatat apashrayam. I think 176 or 7 something. So that's how, he sees Supreme Lord and material energy both. So Prabhupada writes that this has been already explained in first canto in connection with Vyasadev's realization of Supreme Lord and his external energy. And Prabhupada is quoting that thing. Bhakti yogena manasi. Therefore, The external energy is controlled by the Lord, and the living entities are controlled by external energy by the will of the Lord. Although the living entity is purely conscious in his pure state, he is subordinate to the will of the Lord in being influenced by the external energy. The more one goes away from the Supreme Lord, the more becomes entangled with the material energy. Krishna bahirmukh hoya jiva bhagwan cha kare nikatastha maya tare chapatiya tare. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in the purport same thing. A relationship of the jiva with the body and the senses does not actually occur through the beginningless avidya shakti of the Lord. There is no relationship. Then Prabhupada writes, now the next question automatically made will be, why the Lord influences the living entity to such consciousness and forgetfulness? Sometimes people say, if the Lord is supremely powerful, why he didn't control our desires? Why he allowed us to come in this material world full of suffering? What is the answer?
He doesn't want forcefully somebody comes to him.
Yes. Love means it should be voluntary. There is no forced love. We cannot just, somebody cannot put a gun on somebody's head and say, love me. That is not love. Love means voluntary. That's what Prabhupada writes. They must be engaged in loving service. So loving service happens only when there is willingness to do that service. You cannot force it. Because the living entity is partially independent, he may not be willing to serve the Lord and try to be independent. So the Lord, he never ever forces anyone to surrender. He just gives instructions and waits for the living entities to turn towards him. He never ever forces. He keeps on canvassing. Material energy is also canvassing. He is also canvassing. At least come back to me. You will be enjoying. You will have the best, things to enjoy in this world, in the spiritual world. Prabhupada writes, living entities are illusioned by the Lord, by the will of the Lord, because they wanted to become like him. Living entity wants to become like the Lord. So Lord provides him facilities. Matta smriti jnana apohanam cha. Prabhupada quotes that in the previous paragraph also. If somebody wants to forget the Lord, Lord gives him all facilities so that he can forget him. So that's how Lord never ever interferes in free will. He is yatha mam prapadyante. That's all. Therefore, the first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord. And consequent will of the Lord is that living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of utopia where he may become one like the Lord. So that's how living entities, Prabhupada writes in many places, trying to become one with the Lord is the last snare of Maya. Yes. It's the last snare of Maya. When people get frustrated trying to enjoy and lord it over the material world, they think, I want to become God. The child cries to have the moon from the mother, and mother gives the child a mirror to satisfy the crying and disturbing child. Similarly, the crying child of the Lord is given over to the reflection, the material world, to lord it over as karmi, and to give this up in frustration to become one with the Lord. That's how living entities crying, telling, I want to control, I want to become the Lord. And so therefore, just Lord gives a toy, kill, try to enjoy, play. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko nate sukham vanyaduparamam va vindeta bhuyah tata eva dukkham yadatra uttam bhagavan vadennaha. Who is speaking to him? आया ये पहले श्लोक in third canto में, sorry. Vidurji is telling to Maitreya. He is telling that people in this world, they are working hard to enjoy happiness. Sukhaya karmani karoti, but they don't get happiness. They get pain in return. Natai sukham, sukh milta nahi hai. Uparamam va dukkham. They get all the more dukh. So therefore, please tell me, how can living entities come out of this? So therefore, living entities, they are trying to enjoy this world. And so many different ways they are trying. And Prahlad Maharaj tells in the 7th canto, the life duration of the living entity is just 100 years. उसमें से 50 साल तो सोने में निकाल देते हैं. You know, so that's how, you know, मतलब 5 साल का बच्चा ऐसा डिटेल में, is just wonderful instruction, na? 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj instructing his batchmates. And he's saying 50 years are gone in sleeping, 20 years in children, childhood and sports, and 20 years in old age. और बीच में जो 10 साल बचता है, उसमें so many things to do. तो कहाँ भगवान का स्मरण होगा? And then he thinks, you know, when the wife is speaking sweet words in the ears of the husband, कहाँ से निकलेगा उसमें? How does he know about all that? So that is called as the knowledge realization. Just hearing Narad Muni, he understood everything. And then, you know, he is himself a child, and he's saying when the children, small children, they speak broken words, it is so very sweet and pleasant. He says, Katham priyaya anukampitaya sangam rahasyam ruchiram mantran suritsu tatsne hasita shishunam kalaksharanam anurakta chitta. Kalaksharanam, broken language, attracts the living entity. So that these are all the illusory energy which is binding a living entity, and he is thinking, I am enjoying. So Prabhupada writes, there is no necessity of tracing out the history of when the living entity desired this. Hum kab gire? When we fell down. Many times Prabhupada was asked this question. Kya bolte hain Prabhupada? What answer he would give generally?
Don't worry about all those things.
Go back and
Go back and then find out na. Abhi kaun dhakka mara mere ko niche? If somebody is there, Prabhupada says, you know, if you are on the ship and somebody, you know, throws you and pushes you, and then if somebody is, you know, throwing a rope, you don't ask him, pehle dhakka kaun mara, ye batao. So there is no necessity of tracing out the history. But the fact is, as soon as he desired it, he was put under the control. As soon as he desired, no delay. Krishna is very quick in reciprocating with the desires. Ichha hua, within moments, kahin aur aa gaye, you know. So that's how we were put in this material world. And this world means full of conceptions of aham and mamayati, I and mine. Then Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph, in his pure consciousness, there is no such misconceived dream. So all this dream happens only in contaminated consciousness. So that's how. So somebody may say that if this is so illusory, then why to take it all seriously? If it is all dream, na? सपने है तो इतना क्यों seriously ले रहे हैं हम लोग? Why are we suffering so much? Because actually, if this pain is so very illusory, then Brahmaji is also telling me, Shutritra dhatu birima muhuradhyamana shita ushna vata varsha itaretaracha kama grina sakalayon shuddhyamana sampashyato manaurukrama sidate me. Brahmaji is telling, comes in the 3rd canto. I have created this body which is only made for giving suffering. ऐसा शरीर बनाया है. शुद्ध त्रित, hunger, thirst and कफवात with always disturbed. ये तो अंदर से हो गया. Then बाहर से शीत, उष्ण, वात, वर्षा. That is not sufficient. काम, अग्निना, अच्युत रुषा. मतलब uncontrolled, insatiable anger, always burning. ये सब देख के ब्रह्मा जी बोल रहे हैं मुझे दुख हो रहा है. Sampashyato manaurukramasīdate me. So if the pain is illusory, the dream is an illusion, but till the time the person is sleeping, for the sleeping person the pain is real. जब तक वो सो रहा है और बगल वाला बैठा वाला हंस रहा होगा देख के, बोले क्या चिल्ला रहा है, देखा होगा ना, कभी कभी कोई तो चिल्लाते हैं, कोई रोता भी है सपने में, एंड द बगल में पर्सन हु इज सिटिंग ही इज लाफिंग, बोले क्या रो रहा है, but for that person it is a real dream, for him it is real. So therefore only when we get up from the dream then we can laugh at the misery we experience in the dream. But Maya Devi is so perfect, so intelligent, she doesn't allow us to get up. बेटा सोता रहे तू उठने का प्रयास भी करते हैं तो माया बोलती है नहीं सो जा, सब ठीक चल रहा है, एक तो झापड़ भी पड़ेगा नहीं, and as soon as somebody is getting, नहीं कोई बात, कुछ नहीं, go to sleep. Right, so Maya Devi is royally, beating. Maitreya Muni gives another example in the third canto about this. How is this relationship between body and the soul? It is like a person seeing his own head being cut off. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? How can a person see his own head being cut off? हो सकता है कभी ड्रीम में, सपने में हो सकता है, So that's the condition of this world. In fact, there was a Sikh warrior, उनका नाम भूल गया मैं. He was so very powerful, and he had some mystics in these also. While fighting with all the Mughals, his head was cut off, and he, kept his head. He put his head in his hand, and he was fighting for some more time. That's how powerful he was. So he's saying that it is only a dream state. Okay, so then he continues. बहुरूपैवा भाति मायया बहुरूपया रममाणो गुणेश्वस्य ममाहम् इति मन्यते.
The illusion living entity appears in so many forms offered by the external energy of the Lord. While enjoying in the modes of material nature, the encased living entity misconceives thinking in terms of I and mine.
Then Shukdev, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, okay, what happens to Jiva when he has relationship with this body? When he is associating with Maya and thinks that he has relationship with this body, then what happens? So Shukdev Goswami answers. The Jiva appears in Bahurupa. He appears in many different forms. Bahurupa iva bhati mayaya, through Maya. Bahurupaya, because of the variety of dispositions of Jiva. Now, living entity things in different ways. So Maya Devi provides those bodies. And Ramamano Guneshwasya, while enjoying the modes of material nature, Mama Aham iti manyate, he gets engaged in this conception of me and mine, ahanta and mamata. So these are the consequences of a person who starts identifying with the body. The living entity starts identifying and enjoying on a material level. So conditioned state seeks material enjoyment, liberated state, the soul seeks spiritual enjoyment. So the contaminated consciousness means I want to enjoy the things of the world. That is called as ahamta and mamata. In the previous chapters also, one of the chapters when Narad and Brahma Samadhi is happening. So Narad Muni tells, you are the Supreme Lord, it seems. You are creating, maintaining, destroying. So he says, no, I am not doing it. I am just, what is the answer? क्या ब्रह्मा जी बोलते हैं?
Recreating what is recreating.
Srijyam srijami srishtoham. I am recreating what is already created. And then he says, why people they speak like this? Misconception. Vilajyamanaya yasya sthatum ikshapathe amuya vimohita vikathante mamaham iti durdhiya. Because they have this misconception of ahamta and mamata. They think that, oh, I am the Lord. So that's how they start identifying ordinary people as the Lord, or they think that they themselves are the Lord. So Prabhupada in the purport, he describes how there are different species, and They are the different dresses which are offered by the material nature as soon as they desire to enjoy. When a prisoner enters the prison house, what is the first thing which is done? Change the dress. The dress is given. यहाँ इंडिया में व्हाइट और ये ब्लैक रहता है, वो यूएस में सैफरन ड्रेस रहता है प्रिजनर का. तो मैंने अपने टाइम जोड़ी से सेल, हम लोग घूमते हैं रोड पे तो बोलते हैं किधर से भाग के आगे लगता है. Okay, so these are the 84 lakh species of life. They are the dresses which are provided. They are given to living entity. So Prabhupada writes about all that. And depending on the various modes, a person is in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So Prabhupada gives all that. Jalaja Navalakshani, Sthavara Lakshya Vimshati, Kritmayo, Rudra Sankhyaka, Pakshinam Navalakshanam, Trimshal Lakshani Pashavaha, Chatur Lakshani Manava. So ये हो गए 84 lakh. So Prabhupada writes about that. And then Prabhupada elaborates on it. Because a tiger wants to enjoy blood, so he is given a body like that. A living entity wants to enjoy blood, so he is given a body like that. And then second paragraph, Prabhupada writes, the different positions of the living entities in the material world are due to misconceptions of I and mine. Karmi thinks this world as mine, and Jnani thinks I am. So, Jnani or Karmi, they are both different misconceptions till the time they don't realize that I am servant of the Lord. Jnana Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, Keval Vishera Bhand. Amrit boli jeba khaye, Nana yoni sada phire, Kadare bhakshan kare, Tara janma adha patyay. So, either if somebody is following Karma or Jnana, it is all wish, it is all pot of poison. Person will keep on wandering and he'll keep on eating all the abominable things. Kadariya bhakshana kare. And happiness is there in all the species of life. ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि सोच रहा नहीं, I am not enjoying. Other species enjoying. Every species thinks I am enjoying the best. And Prabhupada always tells the example of a pig. My favorite example. Even if you give halwa to the pig, like, क्या दे रहे? मेरा इतना डिलीशियस फूड है और आप क्या खिला रहे हैं मेरे को. That's how every species thinks that, oh, my happiness is the best happiness, and he doesn't want to give it up. Sukham indriyakam daitya dehinam yoginam sarvatra labhyate daivad yatha dukkham ayatnatah. Prahlad is telling to his friends, happiness is available in all the species of life. Don't struggle for that. तो क्या किसके लिए स्ट्रगल करना है? तत्प्रयासो न कर्तव्यो यथा आयु वयः परम न तथा विन्दते क्षेमं मुकुंद चरणाम्बुजं. Please endeavor to get Mukunda Charan. So that's the whole misconception. I will enjoy this world. Prabhupada writes, politics, sociology, philanthropy, altruism, they are all based on this misconception. In Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, there is a seed of material existence described. Anyone knows, remembers? Bhagavad Gita mein 13th chapter mein. So the seed then grows, then the seed is watered, and then the water which is nourishing that seed is the three modes of nature that is described in the 14th chapter. So 13th chapter mein 21st verse hai. Purushah prakriti astho hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. It is a seed of material existence. Because the living entity wants to enjoy, bhunkte, enjoy, indra tripti karna hai, so he gets bound. Bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. 21 or 22. And karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. So this is a seed of material existence. Usko water kar rahe kaun? Modes of material nature, that is described in the 14th chapter. And then when the seed is watered, it becomes a big tree. That is described in 15th chapter. Na? And then on that tree, there are fruits. Good fruits and the bad fruits. They are described in 16th chapter, divine and demoniac nature. And there are some other parts of the tree, they are all described in the 17th chapter. So that's how the Gita progresses. So the cause of all this is, I want to enjoy. Ahamta and Mamata. Okay, then he continues. And Shukadeva Goswami says, so first two verses gives the problem. Now Shukadeva Goswami gives the solution. How to come out of this misconception? That I am controller, I am enjoyer, and that is that all these things bind me in this material world. So how to come out of it? Yarhi vav mahimni swe parasmin kalamayayo
परस्मिन् कालमायनो
gata sammoha
रमेतिगतसम्मोहं
tado bhayam.
ततोदास्ते तदोमयम् तदोयभयम्
in his constitutional glory and take transcends beyond time and material energy. He at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self.
Yarhi wow. So when he gets in touch with transcendence, Mahimni Swe means original glory. So when one gets established in his original glory, Mahimni Swe, this is a very important word. Swe Mahimni Stitasya cha, ek aur shlok aata hai usme, Swe Mahimni Stitasya cha. As soon as the living entity gets situated in his constitutional position, Mahima mein sthit ho jate hain, Swe Mahimni Stitasya cha. So Yarahi Vav Mahimni Swe. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his glory. Parasmin Kala Mayayo Rameta, and begins to enjoy the transcendence which is beyond time and energy. Parasmin. So which is beyond, para asmin, which is beyond this material world, beyond this material time and energy. As soon as one starts enjoying that, then what happens? Gata sammoha. All the misconception is gone. And tyaktva udaste tada ubhayam. After giving up it in full, he becomes situated in his pure self. So that is the understanding. Ramamano guneshu asya. That means soul's enjoyment in material consciousness. That's what is described in the second verse. Ramamano guneshu asya. That is when the soul is enjoying in material consciousness. And now, Rameta Gata Sammoha. Same words are there. Ramamano and Rameta. So when the soul starts enjoying in spiritual consciousness, then he becomes free. Soul is meant for enjoyment. We cannot just live a sad life. बिना कोई ना कोई उमंग है ना कोई तरंग है, ऐसा नहीं जी सकते हैं. The soul is meant for enjoyment. Anandamayo abhyasa. They are meant for enjoyment. But because we are trying to enjoy in the material plane, therefore we suffer. So we cannot live without enjoying. We cannot be sad. That's why we seek happiness. Why we want happiness? Because that is our nature. Satchidananda. But we are finding that happiness in the wrong place. Just like a person, he lost his diamond ring and he was searching under a street light. So usko pucha kya ho gaya? He said, my diamond ring is lost. Kahan pe ghuma? No, udhar ghuma. So idhar kyun dhund rahe? Idhar light hai na.
Okay.
So that's why we are trying to find the happiness in the wrong place. क्यों लग रहा है इधर कुछ तो है, but that is not there. Just like one king announced that my daughter has lost his diamond necklace, whoever will find it, I'll give him a big reward. So everybody is trying to search, and then there was a young man, he sees in the river something is glittering. So he jumps and he realizes that it was quicksand. He starts going down and down, and then a sage comes and says, "Kya ho gaya?" He said, "No, I was looking for the diamond necklace. Now I am here sinking. So the sage helped him come out of, and then the sage said, look up on the tree. The diamond necklace is there up. That you are seeing just the reflection. So therefore, that is the situation. We want happiness, but we are looking at the wrong place. That's why we are suffering. Nitya Baddha Krishna hoite Nitya Bahirmukh Nitya Samsara Bhunje Narakadi Dukha. We are suffering in this material world. Narakadi Dukha. Sei doshe maya pishachi danda kore tare adhyatmikadi tapatre tare jari mare. Because of the desire to enjoy separately, Maya Pishachi Danda Kare Tare. And then gives the threefold miseries. And Kama Krodhera Dasa Haya Tarala Tikhai Brahmite Yadi Sadhu Vaidya Pai. Bahut laabh kata hai Kama Krodh ka das okay. Somehow entering in these three material worlds, if he gets Sadhu Vaidya, devotee ko yahan pe Sadhu Vaidya bolte hain. And the Vaidya, they know the art of counteracting the poison of the snake by chanting mantras. तो ये जो devotee है वो भी मंत्र बोलता है. He also knows the art of counteracting the poison of this material world. What is that mantra? Tara upadesha mantre pishachi palaye Krishna bhakti paye tabe Krishna nikate aaye. Upadesh ka mantra bolte hain, so he gets Krishna. That's the whole cycle of the living entity in this material world. Till the time he fell down. From the time he fell to the time he goes back. So Prabhupada writes, the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, are classified in two classes. In the lower state, the conception of mine is very prominent. In the higher state, the misconception of I is prominent. The animal state, mine. So that is how animals, they are thinking of everything in terms of mine. So till the time one is in this conception. So all these people who are thinking is my family, my house, my caste, my nation, my country, it is all lower. And then as one rises by jnana, then he comes to the conception of I am. It is all I am. There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different colors. But the real conception is I am eternal servant. So that is also I. We cannot give up this I. We cannot give up this ego. We have to just shift this ego. Can we be proud of anything?
Yes.
We can be proud of what?
Serving the Lord.
For acharyas.
Oh, we can be proud of our acharyas, we can be proud of being servant, we can be proud of Krishna,
About Bhagavatam.
about scriptures. That's how we can be proud of. That is the real pride. We cannot live without being proud. So then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada, he elaborates on this misconception of person thinking, I am Supreme Lord. I can become God. So after a few lines in the middle of this paragraph, Prabhupada writes, can a living entity who claims to be as good as Supreme Being control the material nature? The foolish I would reply that he will do so in future. That's what Prabhupada would say. They keep giving post-dated checks. He will become immortal in future. Like a few weeks back, there was one video. Somebody sent that there is one scientist, he is saying 2025 we are going to become immortal. 2025 bol raha tha, 35 whatever.
2050 is saying.
2050.
He got some
Kuch, nano technology is saying. Bas, only if we can find a technology by which we can replace all the neurons of the brain. मतलब होने ही वाला है ऐसा बोलते हैं वो लोग. That's how it is. But Prabhupada says it is not going to happen. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu. That is the principle. So Prabhupada writes, Bhagavad Gita says that one can be freed from material nature only by surrendering unto the Lord. If there is no surrender, then they will keep on suffering. A poor man without any employment or occupation may undergo so many troubles in life. But if by chance the same man gets good service under government, he at once becomes happy. There is a story Prabhupada would tell that one person, he wanted to serve the biggest person. So he thought, okay, I think this landlord is the biggest person. So he started serving him. After a few days, he realized that ये भी किसी के पास जा रहा है service करने के लिए. So then he went to the minister. So he thought, okay, I'll serve the minister. Then minister is also going to the king. And then the king is also going to a sage to get some guidance. So he thought maybe the sage is the greatest person. He started serving the sage. And then he saw that sage also goes somewhere. He is going to serve the Lord. That's how he came to this understanding that Lord is the supreme. He is the worth. He is the master worth serving. So that's how when someone serves the supreme Lord, then he can be happy always. That is real position. Servant of Krishna. That is Swe Mahimni Sthitasya Cha. That is Swe Mahimni. That is the real glory. Prabhupada writes, there is no profit in denying the supremacy of the Lord, but one should be constitutionally situated in one's own glory, namely, to be situated in pure consciousness. That is how it is. So that is the actual purpose of soul. Just like if we are using a table and the table is moving, sometimes होता है ना, तो ऐसा हिलता रहता है. तो कोई बोलेगा ठीक है क्या नीचे लगाना पड़ेगा, चलो मोबाइल ही लगा देते हैं नीचे. Just लगाना है ना, तो it will solve the purpose, but it is not the actual purpose of this mobile. So therefore, by trying to enjoying in this world, we can get some pleasure, but will destroy the body. Shut parito yatha dinam sarameyam griham griham charanvindanti yaddinam dandam odanam eva. Bhagavatam gives royal gali sometimes. कुत्ते की तरह जीवन जी रहे हो आप लोग, ऐसा बोलते हैं. शुद्ध परितो, not pet dog, street dog. Street dog matlab sometimes he will go and sometimes he will be beaten. Sometimes he'll be given some food to it. Yatha kamashayo jiva. Similarly, living entity. पहले बोलते हैं ये ऐसा है, अभी ये जो है ना आप लोग भी ऐसा ही जी रहे हैं. That's how धृतराष्ट्र को भी विदुर जी गाली देते हैं. क्या बोलते हैं? नहीं, कुत्ता नहीं, घर के कुत्ते की तरह जी रहे हैं आप. आदत्ते गृह भीमापवर्जितम पिंडम आदत्ते गृहपालवत्. सो इंग्लिश में थोड़ा सोफिस्टिकेटेड लगता है, पंच नहीं आता है. हिंदी में ऐसा बहुत समटाइम प्रॉपर सेज कृष्णा इज नॉट योर फादर सर्वेंट. तो इंग्लिश वाले को पता नहीं चलेगा, ठीक है, हिंदी में बोलेंगे तो बोलेगा हमारे नौकर नहीं है वो. सो दैट्स हाउ पंच रहता है. Okay, so Prabhupada writes, only by serving Krishna, rendering devotional service, Mam Chayo Avyabhicharena. So when we start serving the Lord, then one can be situated in his original glory. Bhukta bhoga parityakta drishta dosha cha nityashah na ishwarasya ashubham dhatte swe mahimni sthitasya cha. ये word वहां पे भी आता है again. When somebody gives up this mentality of enjoyment, bhukta bhoga parityakta, because he sees drishta, dekhte hain kya? Dosha. Dosha, when I will enjoy, I'll suffer. Which verse Bhagavad Gita says this?
ये संस्पर्शजा भोगा.
यही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुख योना. Na ishwarasya ashubham dhatte. If somebody tries to enjoy, there is no auspiciousness. When somebody realizes this, then he is situated in his original glory. So that is the science of Bhakti Yoga. And then Prabhupada writes, one should hear about devotional service from devotees, not from anyone else. Which verse says this? If we hear from those who are non-devotees, it is like
Snakes.
Touched by
Milk touched by snake.
श्लोक किसी को याद है? Milk touched by serpent. अवैष्णव मुखोद्गीर्णं पूतं हरिकथामृतं श्रवणं नैव कर्तव्यं सर्पोच्चिष्ट यथापय. So that's how Prabhupada writes that. Okay, so then Prabhupada says that Srimad Bhagvatam and primarily the Bhagavad Gita are both meant for delivering a person from the misconception of I and mine. And Srila Vyasdev transcribed them for the deliverance of the fallen souls. 1.7.6 and 7. There, Vyasdev is writing. Yaya sammohito jivo trigunam trigunaatmakam paropi manute anartham tatkritam chapi padyate. All the living entities, they are illusion. So therefore, to dispel their ignorance, to bring them out of this fallen condition, Vyasdev has written this Bhagavatam, Chakre Satvat Samhita. Okay, continues. Atma Tattva Vishuddhyartham Yadaha Bhagavan Ritam Brahmane Darshayan Rupam
ब्रह्मणे दर्शयन्
Avyalika
रूपम्
Vratadritaha.
अव्यालीकाव्रताधृत
And that is the objective goal for giving the independent goal.
Okay. So Parikshit Maharaj, he had asked many questions. So now Shukdev Goswami, he is answering the question of what is the difference between the body of the living entity and body of the Lord. So first question he answered, is there any relationship between the soul and the matter? No relationship, it is only a dream state. Now he is answering the second question. What is the difference between body of the Lord and body of the Jiva? So to answer this, he quotes a famous conversation which happened between Brahmaji and Supreme Lord himself. So that's how from 4 to 8 verses, they set a platform for Brahma Narad Samvad. Brahma and Supreme Lord's Samvad conversation. So he says, Brahma is a famous example of a person who performed bhakti and he got free from the illusion. So third verse is, only when one renders bhakti, then one becomes free. Any example? Yes. Brahma himself is the example. Anywhere else this has come? कोई बोल रहे हैं आप तो ऐसा बोल रहे हैं, कोई example है क्या? We have discussed this. Second canto in the first chapter आता है ना? Shukdev Goswami says practice devotional service. तस्मात् भारत सर्वात्मा भगवान ईश्वरो हवै श्रोतव्य कीर्तितव्य स्मर्तव्य. अभयम चाहिए तो बोले इतना लंबा प्रोसेस है, ये मेरे पास तो 7 दिन है. 7 दिन, अरे few moments are enough. बोले ऐसा तो आप कुछ भी figuratively you are saying like that. कोई है क्या example? खटवांगो नाम राजर्षे. There is a great king like Khatwang. He attained perfection. Muhurta. That work. 2 muhurtas. He perfected his life. So here he is saying, Atma Tattva Vishuddhi Artham. So Brahma, he performed penance with objective goal of purifying himself. Yadaha Bhagavan Ritam. So Supreme Lord, he became very pleased and Supreme Lord spoke. Brahmane Darshayan Rupam. He spoke those 4 confidential verses and he presented his Darshayan Rupam, his eternal and transcendental form. Avyalika Vratadritaha. Why? Why Lord showed him that form? Avyalika Vratadritaha. That is very important. Lord is pleased by unpretentious devotional service. Avyalika or Nirvyalika, ये बहुत बार आता है. Nirvyalika, Avyalika, without any deceptive motive. There it comes that when the Lord appeared, Brahma could see one soul of the Lord completely, and the other was, he could see the toe. So Chakravarti Thakur says that shows that Brahma saw the form of Krishna standing in the threefold bending form. That's how Lord stands, the threefold bending form. One soul is completely visible. So that's how Brahmaji attained perfection by practicing devotional service. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that, what is that which is beyond time and Maya to which one should become attached? So what one should become attached to? So this verse answers, Atma Tattva. One should be attached to Atma and Paramatma Tattva. So Chakravarti Thakur continues, the wrong conception of the Jivatma is to identify the material body with the pure soul. And the wrong conception of Paramatma is to think him on an equal level with the living entity. So Jivatma means he starts thinking, I am this body. And wrong conception about Paramatma, I am God. So that's how it is. So Shukdev Goswami says that all these are wrong misconceptions. If you want to purify this, we have to practice devotional service. And then the Lord will appear and purify all the misconceptions. And the example is Brahmaji. So Prabhupada writes about that. Atma Tattva is the science of God and the living entity. Atma means Atma Tattva and Paramatma Tattva. So that is how Atma can have many meanings also. So Atma means living entity. Atma means Supreme Lord also. So Atma Tattva Vishuddhi Artham. So because Brahma, he did Avyalika Vrata Adritaha, sincere devotion. Therefore, the Lord showed him this form. So Prabhupada writes, elaborates in the purport about this. Supreme Lord is Paramatma, living entity is Atma. Both are transcendental. But when the living entity, Jivatma, starts identifying with the material body, that is wrong conception. And when the living entity starts thinking, I am God, that is also wrong conception. So only by the practice of bhakti one can come out of these misconceptions. And how to do that? Bhakti means only by associating with devotees, and by devotional service one can know. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Okay, so. And then after a few lines in the purport, Prabhupada describes how the form of the Lord is not an imagination. It is not a form which has been conceived by somebody. It is a real form. It comes in the third canto when Kapil Dev describes the form of the Lord to Mother Devahuti. There he says that the Jnani has to meditate on this form. It is a real form. And he has to meditate on the pastimes of the Lord. Vaikuntha Leela Abhidhyanam. He cannot meditate on any form, any pastime. No, only the bona fide pastimes he can meditate on. The summary is that due to ignorance, the conditioned soul is engaged in temporary varieties of material forms. And therefore, to bring a living entity out of this misconception, Brahmaji was told this Chatushloki Bhagavatam. This Bhagavatam is not a creation of mental speculators. The sound of Bhagavatam is transcendental, and the resonance of Srimad Bhagavatam is as good as that of the Vedas. So Bhagavatam is non-different from the Supreme Lord, and it is the Vedanta Sutra. Sarva Vedanta Saram hi Shri Bhagavatam Ishyate. So that is Bhagavatam. Okay, he continues about the same theme. Sa adi devo jagatam paro guru swadhishnyamasthaya shishrikshayekshata tam nadya gacchadrishamatra sammatam prapancha nirmana vidhiryaya bhavet.
Lord Brahma, spiritual master, supreme in the universe, could not trace out the stores of his lotus feet. And while thinking of creating the material world, he could not understand the proper direction for such creative work, nor could he find out the process for such creation.
So Adi Deva, the original Devata, the first spiritual master, Jagatam Paro Guru, he is the instructor of the Bhakti. He is the supreme in the universe. Chakravarti Thakur writes, he is the instructor of the Bhakti for the world. Jagatam Paro Guru. Swadhishnyam Asthaya, as he was seated on his lotus seat, Sitrikshaya Aikshata. He started thinking how to create this universe. Ab karna kaise? How to understand, how to start this work. Na adyagachat. Tam na adyagachat. He could not understand. He could not understand how to begin. And tam na adyagachat sammatam drisham. He could not understand and he could not get the proper knowledge how to start creating this universe. Prapancha nirmana vidhir yaya bhavet. So how to understand and how to create this prapancha nirmana, how to create this material construction, prapancha nirmana. So unless one has Lord's sanction, one cannot understand the Lord, and one cannot render devotional service also. Only by the mercy of the Lord one can understand him. Where in Bhagavad Gita? Where in Bhagavatam? There is a verse in Bhagavatam which says, actually. Anyone knows that? No, this is a very famous thing which it comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he asks Gopinath Patnaik. Gopinath Patnaik is saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, no, Lord is Tri-Yogi. Lord doesn't appear in Kali Yuga. How are you saying Lord has appeared? So he says, no, there are so many examples and quotations in the scriptures telling that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, no, I cannot accept this. So he says, Athapite deva padambuja dvaya prasada lesha nugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. Only if somebody gets a drop of the mercy of the Lord, he can understand the Lord. Because you have not received the mercy of the Lord, you can never understand and acknowledge that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord. So that's how many of the verses, many of the purports, Prabhupada, he brings out the importance of Bhakti Yoga. So that's how Prabhupada elaborates on these verses, that only by the process of devotional service one can understand the Lord. And that's how Brahmaji began, the first created being. He understood the Lord only by practice of bhakti. There was no other, means, because bhakti is the essence. There is no Paramatma meditator and there is no Jnani in the spiritual world. वहां पे कोई ऐसा अष्टांग योगा नहीं करते हुए दिखेगा. कोई यहाँ पे प्राणायाम अनुलोम विलोम कर रहा है एक कोने में बैठ के गोलोक में. No, there are only devotees in the spiritual world, that's all. No Jnanis. वहां पे कोई नहीं बोलेगा मैं थोड़ा श्लोक याद कर लेता हूँ, भगवान को सुनाऊंगा. Krishna doesn't like it. Krishna likes the chastisement of the gopis more than the Vedas hymns. So that's how it is. So therefore there are only bhaktas in the spiritual world. So that's how this universe began with Brahmaji performing Bhakti Yoga. That's all. He didn't practice Ashtanga Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Although the externals may look like Ashtanga Yoga, ultimately he was meditating on the form of the Lord and instructions of the Lord. Prabhupada writes, this verse, somebody can read the purport.
This verse is prelude for explaining the transcendental nature of the form and the abode of the Lord. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagvatam, it has already been said that the Supreme Absolute could exist in his own abode without any touch of the deluding energy. Therefore, the kingdom of God is not a neat but actually a different and transcendental sphere of planets known as Vaibhav. This will also be explained in this chapter.
Where it is written, Prabhupada writes, Supreme Lord exists in his own abode without any touch of deluding energy. First verse. क्या है वो? तेने ब्रह्मृदादिकवे मुह्यन्ते सूर्य तेजो वारि मृदाम यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो अमृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम्. He is always situated in a spiritual abode. The kingdom of the Lord is not myth. It is actually different. Such knowledge of the spiritual sky can be understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Then in the end, Prabhupada writes, if anyone desires to seek perfect knowledge, he must seek mercy of the Lord. There is no other means. All our endeavors in Krishna consciousness should be only for this one purpose, to get mercy of the Lord. All our management, all our Bhakti Vaibhav study, all our day-to-day activities in our Krishna consciousness should be only for one purpose, to seek mercy of the Lord. And Lord is not pleased by erudition, scholarship, how many shlokas we know, how many marks we got in Bhakti Vaibhav. वहां पे गोलोक में एंट्री के पहले ये नहीं पूछेंगे भक्ति वैभव में पास हुए क्या, कितने श्लोक याद किए, सुनाओ चलो तभी एंट्री देंगे. No. Krishna is pleased by simple devotion. पूछ सकते हैं, ठीक है, आपको पूछेंगे प्रश्न, याद कर लीजिए फिर आप.
In spite of the difficulties, we are making an endeavor that Krishna.
Sorry?
And though it is not the scholarship or the how much memory you have, but in spite of our conditioning, we are making an endeavor to at least learn, so that might be Krishna.
Yes. Our endeavor pleases Krishna. But why are we endeavoring? That is important.
Correct.
मेरा भक्ति वैभव हो गया.
Pride नहीं आना चाहिए.
I am trying to know Krishna more so that I can practice bhakti in a better way. I can please the Vaishnavas in a better way. Otherwise, Bhagwan इन सब से कहाँ प्रसन्न होते हैं? मन्ये धनाभिजन रूप तप श्रुतौ ज तेजो प्रभाव बल पौरुष बुद्धि योग नाराधनाय हि भवन्ति परस्य पुंसो भक्त्या तुतोष भगवान. That's how only devotion. That's how it is very, very, अभी एक सुत क्या होता है क्या केशव महाराज ना, क्या नाम होगा?
सतपाकानंद.
हाँ, उनके डिसाइपल अभी क्या नाम होगा? सुतपा प्रभु.
अपना क्या भगवान स्वयं भगवान केशव महाराज.
यस थैंक यू. उनका वीडियो घूम रहा है ना, बहुत वायरल वीडियो घूम रहा है. You should be absorbed. We may be doing so many services. But
How much is the absolute?
तो हम लोग सब रट्टा मार रहे हैं, लिखते जा रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, but absorbed नहीं है. We are not thinking of Krishna, so then the whole purpose is defeated. So that's how it is very, very important. Otherwise, bhakti is walking on a razor's edge.
Yes.
Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. So we may cut ourselves if we are not very careful. We may know all the verses, we may know everything, we may be able to manage nicely, we may be able to, there are two things: institutional success and personal success. As we are serving in this institution, we may be doing so many services. We are taking the role of, preachers or managers or whatever. And we are doing it successfully. Institution is growing, preaching बढ़ रहा है. But in due course of our services, if we are becoming proud and if we are offending devotees, institutional will grow, preaching will happen, but we will not grow. And the famous example is Daksha, expert in management. So much so that Brahma ji को उन्होंने गाली भी दिया. In the fourth canto it comes, ना, सती ये ब्रह्मा जी के कहने पे मैंने अपनी बेटी की शादी करा दी इनसे. मतलब ये इनको मालूम ही नहीं इतना, he doesn't have not brains. उसके बाद भी ब्रह्मा जी made him the chief प्रजापति. Why? एक्सपर्ट है, तो एक्सपर्ट होगा, उसको पोजीशन दिया ही जाएगा, कितना भी गाली दे, कितना भी गड़बड़, मतलब इवन इफ ही इज नॉट स्पीकिंग राइटली बट स्टिल मैनेजिंग कर रहा है ना. बट इन द रिजल्ट व्हाट हैपेंड इन द एंड, he offended and he was killed. And after getting rebirth also, 5 मनवंतर तपस्या करने के बाद भी, he again appeared in the first मनवंतर, प्रचेता से पैदा हुआ दक्ष. He did तपस्या for 5 मनवंतर. इसीलिए फिर स्वयंभू मनु जाके प्रियव्रत को बुला के लाए ना. Nobody was there to rule. ब्रह्मचारी बन गए, कोई नहीं है यहाँ पे, वापस आओ, So he brought him back because nobody was there to rule. After 5 manvantars of doing tapasya, he comes back. And he again and Bhagwan का दर्शन होता है. Lord comes and Lord gives benedictions to him. Not pure devotional service. He gives him benediction that you will be successful in your service. फिर से नारद मुनि का अपराध करते हैं.
कौन प्रियव्रत?
दक्षा.
थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन है. दक्षा again become a son of Racheta.
Yes.
And then what happened?
He went to do tapasya.
Okay. 5 months.
5 manvantars he did tapasya.
Okay.
तो अभी कोई नहीं है रूल करने के लिए. First it happened in second half of the first manvantar. So then there was nobody to rule. So Swayambhu Manu went to Narad Muni's ashram, brought Priyavrat back, and Priyavrat ruled the remaining half of the first manvantar. And then second manvantar was Swarochisha. He became the king, Manu. And then third, fourth, fifth manvantar was ruled by the sons of Priyavrat. Priyavrat के 3 बेटे हैं, तो उन्होंने रूल किया second, third, fourth, fifth manvantar. Then sixth manvantar is कौन था sixth manvantar में? Chakshusha. So in the Chakshusha manvantar he came back, he got darshan of the Lord. Daksha came back, and then he procreated 10,000 sons. Narad Muni सबको college preaching करके सबको devotee ब्रह्मचारी बना दिए. फिर प्रहलाद ये सोचे कि अरे ठीक है 1000 और बनाएंगे चलो, तो उनको भी ब्रह्मचारी बना दिए. So he thought अभी ये नारद मुनि तो ब्रह्मचारी बनाते, तो now I'll create daughters. उनको तो नहीं preaching करेंगे, 60 daughters create किए. फिर उसमें से फिर से then नारद मुनि came back. उनका भी गट्स देखो ना, 11,000 लोगों को, बच्चों को ब्रह्मचारी बनाने के बाद ही इस कमी, मतलब एक लड़का ब्रह्मचारी बनता है तो इतना मतलब मेरे को तो एक्सपीरियंस बहुत है. So वहां पे बोलते हैं चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर है ना, why नारद मुनि went, why he went to Daksha?
To deliver him.
Not realizing.
He was thinking, अरे right from स्वयंभू मनु इनका पूरा डायनेस्टी का उद्धार मैंने किया है,
इनका छोड़ के
यही बचे हैं. तो इनके ऊपर भी कृपा कर देते हैं थोड़ा, और and now he is in a distressed state. अभी बेचारा सुन लेगा. So that's how that is the optimist, or that is a preacher. He is optimistic. अभी तो सुन लेगा, है ना. That's how it is. So we have to be.
आगे बताइए अभी. नारद मुनि come back to Daksha. Again he.
और कैंटो में बताएंगे. नारद मुनि बाद में वापस जाके दक्षा को बोलते हैं ना, दक्षा you also take to bhakti, and Daksha says you don't know, you are behaving like a pretender. You are you have made my sons renunciants. अरे गृहस्थ धर्म भोगने के पहले कैसे संन्यास लेंगे? How will they maintain their संन्यास? या artificial renunciation हो जाएगा. That's how he curses him, that he will not be able to stay at one place. Prabhupada says, all the parents of my disciples, they have also cursed me. That's why I'm not able to stay at one place. So now all of you, my disciples, sannyasi disciples, you take the curse on my behalf and allow me to sit at one place and write.
You said Bhakti process is a razor's edge. So how is it? Is it the pride we're talking about razor's edge? What do you mean by
You have to be careful, not offending devotees. Because if we are not careful, it is said that Bhavan nimilya yan asthaya naro raja na pramadyet karehchit Bhavan nimilyavan etre nas khalen na patetya. There is another slok which comes that this path of devotional service is so safe, even if you run with your eyes closed, you will not trip or fall. Na patet na skhaled iha. ये भी बोला जाता है और दूसरा भी बोला जाता है शूरस्य धारा निशिता दुरत्यया दुर्गम पथस्तत् कवयो वदन्ति. So when it is said that dhavan nimilyavan netre na skhalen na pate, that means even if you don't know all the intricacies of bhakti yoga, सब आपको परपोर्ट नहीं मालूम है, कमेंट्री नहीं मालूम है, ये करना है वैसा करना है, फिर भी चल रहे हैं. If you are practicing the basic things, you will not fall down. If we are not careful and we offend our devotee, then it is like razor's edge.
Having said that, sometimes it's in our natural dealing also sometimes offenses happen.
Offense. Offense in the regular dealings. You know, many times, what is the offense, first of all? वैष्णव अपराध किसको बोलते हैं? What is the general understanding? Anybody would like?
Vaishnava means considering him not a Vaishnava, the biggest.
वो तो ठीक है, चलो. और
Vaishnava aparadh is you are trying to defame that person or trying to pull that person out of envy. That's where or that is where we can consider that is Vaishnava aparadh. Not considering his actually the envy in the heart, then you are trying to pull him or criticize him.
Okay, we are envious of a devotee. That is the aparadh. Okay.
Six definitions of aparadh. One is feeling, other one is being envy. Third is even if you feel envy about them, you may not articulate it.
If you are not happy seeing a Vaishnava, that is also aparadh. रहा गया अभी ये ना. So basically, you know, if somebody is intentionally planning something wrong against a Vaishnava, that is for sure a Vaishnava aparadh. In material world, in Kali Yuga, we cannot avoid thinking wrong about someone. It comes many times naturally, but when we start working on it, contemplating on it, then in due course of time it will manifest.
Okay.
So it is not that चलते चलते किसी को पाँव लग गया तो अपराध हो गया. अरे that is not so much of the aparadh. But if somebody is, you know, he does something wrong and he is told that, oh, this should not be done, and he doesn't repeat it, then it is okay. जान के भी, सुन के भी, he is repeating the same thing, then it becomes offensive. You know, if you did do something innocently, then everyone understands and it is not counted so much. लेकिन जान के भी आप गलत कार्य कर रहे हैं, that hurts a Vaishnava in any way, then it comes under the Vaishnava aparadh category. You know, so and the details are unlimited, so we should not be so much concerned. अरे वैष्णव अपराध हो गया क्या, वो किसी का अपराध हो गया क्या, मेरी भक्ति में मेरा जप में मन नहीं लग रहा है, किसी का मैंने अपराध कर दिया लगता है. You know, अपराध नहीं, खुद के अपना कर्म भुंजा. So of course we should be careful, you know, for sure if we are not developing that taste. So वो तो बोलते ही हैं, because तभी तो जानी अपराध तहाते प्रचुर, कृष्ण प्रेम है, कृष्ण प्रेम अंकुर, कृष्ण प्रेम तहा ना करे अंकुर. So that is there. So we have to be careful. Okay. So one must seek mercy of the Lord, otherwise there is no other means. continues. Sachintayan dvaksharam ekandambhasi upashinodvirgaditam vacho vibuhu Sparsheshu yad shodashamekavimsham Nishkinchanana nripayadhanam viduhu.
While thus engaged in thinking in the water, Brahmaji heard twice from nearby two syllables joined together. One of the syllables was taken from the 16th and the other from the 21st of the Sparsha alphabets, and both joined to become the wealth of the renounced order of life.
So just in the previous purport, Prabhupada writes one important thing. He says that the first spiritual master of the universe was also enlightened by the Lord. So who else can say that I don't need spiritual master? I can know the Lord without mercy of the Lord. सबसे पहले वाले को भी गुरु की जरूरत पड़ गई भाई. So nobody can say I don't need. So in this now, so Brahmaji, he appeared from the lotus flower and he starts wandering, thinking, who am I? He gets all the questions of JSD. Who am I? Why I have come here? Why do bad things happen? Anyways, so then he starts thinking, looking around, kya karna hai abhi? What I am supposed to do? And then he could not understand. So therefore, he heard two words. Very nicely, Deva Goswami is saying, two syllables, sorry. He heard two syllables two times. He heard tapa, tapa. 16th and 21st alphabet. Shodasham, ekavimsham. 16th is ta and ekavimsham is pa. And sparsha. Sparsha, when the tongue touches the palate. They are called sparsha, ta and pa. So, hearing those words, nishamya, Sachintayan. Oh, so as Brahma was contemplating how to carry out the creation, Sachintayan, as he was contemplating, one day, Ekada, he heard, Upashrinod, he heard, Dvirgaditam, he heard twice. Do baar sune wo. He heard the words coming from the water. The water. Ambhasi, Ekada, Ambhasi. So as he was sitting and meditating, looking around, he heard a voice, a word of two syllables, Dviaksharam. And those words were Sparasheshu Yat Shodasham Ekavimsham. And last is a very interesting. Then Shukadeva Goswami is adding, what is this? Nishkinchananam Yad Dhana. This is the wealth of renounced order. So this tapasya is the wealth of renounced order. And for that matter, every devotee, austerities are most important part in the life of a devotee. That's how Rishabdev says, kya bolte hain Rishabdev? Very famous instruction where he says, tapasya, human body is meant for sense jnana, nahi, meant for tapasya. Tapo Nayam deho, deh bhajam loke kashtam kaman arhati, ved bhujam ye, idhar bhi ved bhujam, tapo divyam, putraka. So that's how it is. Nishkinchananam. So what is Nishkinchan? What is the understanding of Nishkinchan? Those who are beggars, those who have no wealth, they are Nishkinchan. Where else this word has come previously? Kunti Maharani is praying. क्या बोल रहे हो त्वाम अकिंचन गोचर. You are the wealth of the impoverished. That means one who does not have possessive mentality. There is another place which says that any devotee who is nishkinchana bhagavad bhajanon mukha, he wants to cross, two things he should be very careful of. What are they? Sandarshanam Vishainam. and Yoshitam. Sense gratifiers and opposite gender. Which is more deadly? Sense gratification, doing sense gratification, or being with a person who is doing sense gratification?
Being with the person who is like,
Why?
when you have tried to do some sense gratification, you get bored and you give up. But when you are the person, you get more like, you know, triggered.
Yes. So the person who is doing sense gratification, he will never ever admit that he is beaten down. Whenever you talk to him, he will speak only the good things of sense gratification. 25 पैसे का सर्कस कैसा है? मजेदार है, जाओ अंदर. अच्छा पिटाई हुआ है फिर भी बोल रहा है फर्स्ट क्लास. So that's how, you know, when you talk to a person who is enjoying sense gratification, he will never say कितना मार पड़ रही है, कितनी पिटाई हो रही है. He will say only good things, because nobody wants to be seen as a person who is beaten, who is a loser. So everybody tells, "Arey, I am enjoying life. कैसे चल रहा है? First class. पिटाई हो रहा है royally, material world में." You know, Prabhupada says, people say, how are you? Oh, I am fine. How can you be fine in the material world? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? That's how it is. So therefore, it is so very deadly. Sense gratifier is more deadly. Nishkinchananam yad dhanam, as Chaitanya Charitamrita also says, Mahaprabhur Bhaktagane Vairagya Pradhan. In the devotees of Mahaprabhu, detachment is the most prominent feature. So Prabhupada elaborates on this tapa, how this human form of life is not meant for eating, sleeping and enjoying. It is meant to undergo tapasya. And for a devotee, tapasya is not just physical tapasya. In Kali Yuga, physical tapasya is very difficult many times. अभी आ रहा है निर्जल एकादशी 31st में, तो एक हफ्ता पहले से प्रिपरेशन शुरू करते हैं, ज्यादा पानी पीना शुरू करते हैं भाई. मटेरियल बॉडी कलियुगा का बना ही नहीं है शरीर इतना तपस्या करने के लिए. So the more important than doing physical tapasya, if you can do, great. But tapasya to speak right words, to tapasya of the mind, tapasya of the sense, tapasya of the speech, that is tapasya of the ego, वो ज्यादा तपस्या है, ज्यादा मुश्किल है. To offer respects to everyone, to speak only Krishna katha, वो ज्यादा तपस्या है. Biggest tapasya is to keep the mouth shut. जब जरूरत नहीं है तब नहीं बोलना है. अदरवाइज डिवोटी कम्युनिटी में इतना इंफॉर्मेशन डाउनलोड होता है, सब चीज के बारे में, सब लोगों के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन मिलता है. That is a drawback of social media and all these smartphones. We know everything about everyone. पिछले समय में ऐसा नहीं होता था. दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है, किधर कंट्री ने किसके ऊपर अटैक किया, कौन सा बॉलीवुड एक्टर मर गया और क्या घोटाला हो गया, nobody knows. आजकल सब इंफॉर्मेशन. The result is people keep talking about all the things. क्या जरूरत है? वो इंफॉर्मेशन इतना डाउनलोड हो रहा है कि हम लोग बात करते हैं, मतलब इट इज बाय डिफॉल्ट सेटिंग हो गया, मिलेंगे तो बात करना ही है सब. That's why you have to be really careful. That is a bigger tapasya, not to speak. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, when Brahma was perplexed about how to construct the universe, he went down within the water. So पहले तो he went down and he entered the lotus stem and he went down and down, and after going lots or sufficient significant distance down, end ही नहीं हो रहा है. So he again came back and he is sitting on the top and is thinking what to do. Then he hears these words, tapa tapa. It will come in the third canto, as he goes down and then he cannot see anything. And then Prabhupada, he never keeps anything suspense. सब suspense पहले ही खत्म कर देते. पहले चैप्टर शुरू होगा कि पूरा चैप्टर का समरी पहले ही हो गया. Now here it is starting. अभी आगे क्या होने वाला है प्रभुपाद खत्म कर दिए. And it is similar to Upanayan, So he heard the word tapa tapa, and so this tapa is second birth of desiring disciple. So Brahmaji was initiated by Krishna, and this fact is corroborated by Brahmaji himself in Brahma Samhita. So Brahma was initiated by the Krishna mantra, by Lord Krishna himself. Thus he became Vaishnava, or a devotee of the Lord. And before he was able to construct. So Brahma was instructed in this 18-lettered Krishna mantra. That is the Gopal mantra. 18-lettered. Doshta. No, Doshta nahi, sorry. 18-letter is different. Gopal mantra is 18-letter. So that's how he says, Prabhupada writes that this is how our parampara is. Krishna gave to Brahmaji, Brahmaji to Narada, Narada to Vyas, and ultimately it is coming to us. Okay, so he continues. What happened? So now Brahmaji heard these two words. So after hearing these two words, so that then Lord appeared and he initiated him in Gopal Gayatri. हम Gayatri जो करते हैं, Gopal Gayatri होता है उसमें. That was the mantra which was given to Brahmaji. Okay, next verse. Now he is not able to see the speaker. बोल कौन रहा है? आवाज तो आ रहा है, तप कहाँ से आ रहा है? So, but he had faith. No, it must be Supreme Lord. Although he could not see anyone, he had faith in the words. Next verse. Nishamya tadviktvaktra didrikshaya drisho.
Nishamya tadvaktra didrikshaya disho.
Vilokya tatranyada pashyamanaha.
Vilokaya tatranyad apashyamana.
Dishyamasthaya vimrishya tadhitam.
Sadishanaya astaya vimshaya tadhitam.
Dishta iva dadhe manaha.
Tapasi upashta ivadate
Tapasupashta
manaha. When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus feet firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed.
Yes. Nishamya. So this word also comes many times. Nishamya, he heard. Disho Vilokya, he tried to find. Viviktra. So he desired Didrikshaya. He wanted to see Didrikshaya. He wanted to see the speaker. So he saw, he looked around all over. But Anapashyad Tatranya Pashad Apashyamana, Tatranyat Apashyamana, he could not see anyone. So therefore what he did? Swadhishnamasthaya, he now again sat down very firmly on the lotus, and Vimrishya, he contemplated the instructions. Tad hitam. Hitam means those instructions were given for his welfare. So that is how the instructions given by the Lord are for the welfare of every living entity. Tad hitam. So therefore, tapasi upadishta. So he started meditating as he was instructed. Upadishta, as he was instructed. So that's how now Brahmaji was initiated, and he followed the instructions with all determination. In the first canto, when Narad Muni as a small boy, he was serving the Bhaktivedantis, 6 qualities come there. Narad Muni is telling, I had 6 qualities. Anyone remembers those 6 qualities of Narad Muni, which he had? It comes in one verse. Tasyev me anurakta, prashritasya, patainashaha, shraddadhanasya, dantasya, anucharasya. He had these 6 qualities. Anurakta, I was attached to devotees. Prashritasya, I was obedient. Hatainashaha, I was not sinful. Shraddadhanasya, I was faithful. Dantasya, sense controlled. Anucharasya, I was an obedient follower. So these are the qualities of a disciple. So one should practice Krishna consciousness with all these qualities, all these characteristics. It's like Dhruv Maharaj. Narad Muni told him, and he did such intense tapasya. Just like Madhavendra Puri. Lord instructed him and he is not thinking, मुझे दोबारा बोला. और just imagine, we all think भगवान आके दर्शन देंगे, कितना अच्छा होगा नहीं. और भगवान आके दर्शन देंगे, बोलेंगे चलो भाई चंदन लेके आना है जगन्नाथपुरी से, तो बोलेंगे मेरे ही सपने में क्यों आ गए. And if somebody is powerful enough, he will say, तेरा डिसाइपल है ना, चल तू जा. मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, भगवान ने मेरे को बोल रहा है, मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ, जाइए. So Madhavendra Puri had many disciples. He didn't delegate the service. He went on his own. Bahu parishrama kari chandana remuna anila आनंद बाड़ीला मने दुख ना गणिला. वो बैठ के दुख नहीं गिन रहे हैं. इतना प्रॉब्लम हुआ मालूम है, 2 दिन प्रसाद नहीं मिला और सोने को भी नहीं मिला. दुख ना गणिला. एक दिन हमारा नींद कम होता है तो हम लोग गिन के रखते हैं ना, 2 घंटा कम हुआ है, कंपेंसेट करना है. दुख ना गणिला. That's how a devotee should practice, with determination, not thinking क्या problem हो रहा है इतना. Prabhupada writes, to achieve success in life, one should follow the example of Brahma. After being initiated to execute tapasya, he was fixed in his determination to do it. And although he did not find anyone besides himself, he could rightly understand that the sound was transmitted by Lord himself. Now, I heard a wonderful definition. I was just reading one of the articles of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. In that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi wala verse he was describing. So he writes a beautiful article about determination. He says, as usual, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu matlab बोलते हैं, determination is distilled desire directed decisively.
Distilled desire directed.
And then he explains each and every word. ऐसा नहीं कि कुछ भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Explaining each and every word. First of all, desire. He says the starting point of determination is desire. So when we desire something, we should desire it strongly. That is desire. So first is we should have the desire, then determination will come. इच्छा होनी चाहिए ना कुछ करने के लिए. If we have इच्छा, then we'll pursue it. And then it should be distilled. Distilled means, distillation means all the impurities are removed. So distilled desire means all the impurities, all the other desires should be given up. Distill your desires. जो भी अनर्थ हैं, जो भी inauspicious desires हैं, distill them off, purify them, and then directed. He's saying, desires can be compared to a flashlight that illumines the path ahead. If our desires are misdirected, then the power of desires get dissipated. If our desires are not directed, just like if it is said that if you dig 3000 feet, you will get oil. लेकिन मैं 400 फीट यहाँ पे खोद रहे हैं, 400 उधर खोद रहे हैं, 3000 हो गया ना? No, you have to keep on digging at one place, directed and decisively. Decisively means you have to keep on working on the same thing, focused. Okay, so that was another thing. So one should be determined. Then Brahmaji, he was the only living being at that time because there was no other creation and none could be found there except himself. Just imagine, मतलब अकेले घूम रहे हैं पूरे ब्रह्मांड में, कोई भी नहीं. What type of identity crisis he must be having, Brahmaji? मैं कौन हूँ, क्या करना है? So that's how Brahmaji has gone through all that. The first living entity has gone through such intense pain to do this creation. So it is not so easy for anyone. Brahma ji खुद के example से बता रहे हैं, बेटा मेरे को देखो हमने कितना मेहनत किया है. So therefore be ready to do all the tapasya. Then Prabhupada in the second paragraph, Prabhupada writes how one receives instruction from the spiritual master as Krishna instructed Brahma ji. That's how one should learn from bona fide spiritual teachers. And the Lord himself appears as teacher, spiritual master to a person who is sincere. Nowadays people, they want to be cheated. So then they are sent to a person who will cheat him. ऐसे बहुत सारे गुरु हैं, वो एक बोलते हैं आप समोसा खाते हैं, समोसे में लाल चटनी डालते हैं कि हरी चटनी डालते हैं? लाल चटनी डाला तब भी प्रॉब्लम है, आप हरी चटनी के साथ खाइए, सब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा। तो ऐसे भी लोग हैं, वो लोग जाते हैं उनके पास, पीपल वांट टू बी चीटेड, सो दे आर सेंट टू अ पर्सन हु विल चीट देम, so that's how it is. Okay, next verse. दिव्यं सहस्राब्दममोघ दर्शनो
दिव्यं सहस्कन्दममो दर्शनं
चिदानिलात्मा विजितो भयेन्द्रियः
जितानिलात्मा विजितो भयेन्द्रिया
भयेन्द्रियम्
अतप्यतास्माखिललोकतापनम्
अप्ताप्यता समर्खिलालोकता
तपस्तपीया तपतां समाहितः
तपस्तपीयां तपतां समाहिता.
समाहितः.
Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1,000 years by the calculations of the demigods. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky, and he accepted it as divine. Thus he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson for the living entities. Thus he is known as the greatest of all ascetics.
Okay, so he did tapasya for Divya Sahasrabdham. He underwent austerities for 1,000 celestial years, not human years. He did tapasya for 1,000 celestial years. And Divyam Sahasrabdham Amogha Darshano. And as he is doing tapasya, so Brahmaji is called as Tapiyam Stapatam. The last word is Tapiyam Stapatam. He is the best among the meditators, best among the tapasvis. So this Brahmaji, as he is doing his intense tapasya, what he got? Amogha Darshan. He had this wonderful vision, Amogha Darshan, which was without any tinge of impurity. How he did tapasya? Jita Anila Atma, controlling his Anila. Anila means
Vayu.
Controlling his airs, prana, and Atma, his mind. And Vijita Ubhaya Indriyaha. Ubhaya Indriya means? Ubhaya means both. So what are these both senses? The knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses. So he controlled both of them. He controlled Ubhaya, Vijita Ubhaya Indriyaha and Atapyat. In this way he performed meditation. Samahitaha. Samahitaha means with Atapyat Sama. Atyap Samakhila. Atyapyat Smakhila. So he controlled his senses and he did tapasya, and that tapasya Akhila Loka Tapanam. That tapasya is beneficial for all the planets. Akhila Loka Tapanam. In this way he did tapasya. So Prabhupada in the purport he counts, he does all the calculation. एक celestial year मतलब क्या होता है? So one celestial year is equal to 6 into 30 into 12 into 1,000 years. That's how he went for 1,000 celestial years. And due to his correct vision, he made no distinction between the Lord and the Lord's instructions. There is no difference between the Lord and the sound vibration coming from him. The best way of understanding is to accept such divine instruction. And then Prabhupada in the purport, he further elaborates on the importance of Guru Parampara, how the knowledge should be received in the Parampara. Whenever somebody is speaking in the Parampara, it is Krishna who is speaking. The secret of the success is to receive the sound from the right source of a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, Prabhupada says that living entities are really suffering in this world. And they have unlimited desires to enjoy. They are suffering. Etadhi atura chittana. Always disturbed. Why? Matra sparsha ichha. Wanting to enjoy senses. So therefore, there is only one way to come out of this suffering. Bhava sindhu plavo drishto hari charyanu varnanam. Only if somebody takes the boat of the Bhava Sindhu Plava. Plava means the boat. So only boat which can take one across this is Hari Charyanu Varnanam. So that's how when one receives the order from the bona fide spiritual master, then one can cross this. Lord Brahma controlled his 2 grades of senses by means of sense perception and sense organs, because he had to engage such senses in the execution of the Lord. So the best way to control the senses is engage in service of the Lord. And who is that personality who engaged all his senses in service of the Lord? The famous example is Ambrish Maharaj. He engaged all his senses. The Lord's order descends in disciplic succession through the bona fide spiritual master, and thus execution of the order of bona fide spiritual master is factual control of senses. Otherwise, it is not possible to control the senses. Because all the senses, the desires, they are like rivers entering the ocean. Where it is mentioned? The desires, they are like rivers entering the ocean. कहाँ पे है? भगवद गीता में
chapter 2, last 60 or 60.
आपूर्यमाणम अचला प्रतिष्ठम समुद्रमाप प्रविशन्ति. Of course, और भी जगह होंगे. This is one thing I can remember. So, when the desires, they are like river. And when the desires are small, they are like ripples on the river. But if you allow the desires to grow, then they become like river, And when the desires become like river, it is very difficult to control the rivers. So the only thing which can control the river is when the river enters the ocean. So the spiritual master's desire to serve the Lord is like an ocean. And our desire to enjoy is like small river. So as soon as when we come in touch with the spiritual master's instructions, then our desire will be subdued, and then we'll be able to, serve the Supreme Lord. That's the only way. Okay, so then Brahmaji now gets darshan of Vaikuntha. Yes, sir.
As question related to the time factor has come here, and in the past also today also we discussed about Prahlad Maharaj's instruction to the children, 100 years. So I want to make myself clear. Every living entity in different planets and different yugas, do they live there 100 years?
Yes.
Isn't it? That is what is the fact.
Yeah.
So when we say Hiranyakashipu has done for so many years, so that is in relation to our earthly years. Is it so?
Yes.
Isn't it? Because the question was asked, Prahlad Maharaj, 100 you are talking about, but that time people used to live for so many years.
Brahmaji also lives for 100 years.
Isn't it?
But their one day is different.
That is understanding. Every living entity lives there 100 years.
Their 100 years. But they're a small insect. Prabhupada tells us some living entities, insects, they take birth in night and before morning they die also. They also live there 100 years. Their few hours is their 100 years. So everybody lives for 100 years. Everybody experiences the same thing as 100 years. 100 साल के जी रहे हैं अभी. अभी बूढ़े हो गए. अभी ब्रह्मा जी बोले क्या बूढ़े हो गए चले भी गए. That's how we feel, insects. So that's how everybody experiences the time in the same way. For us it is different. ब्रह्मा जी भी बोल रहे हैं अभी 50 साल हो गए मेरे. ब्रह्मा जी के 50 साल हो गए ना अभी. He is in 51st year now. So he is also thinking अभी मेरे 50 साल ही बचे हैं. So experience is the same, but it is just a relative. Time is same for everyone, but it is how a living entity experiences it. He feels that it is so less. Others may think इतना बड़ा जीवन है इनका, उनके लिए उतना ही है, उनके लिए वही 100 साल है.
So लेकिन suppose somebody is living in this material world here and he is dying early. So that is not his 100 years, right? With respect to our 100 years, he died early.
Yes.
He is supposed to complete 100 years, but
We are talking about
comparative study.
time spans in different planetary systems.
Understand? But here somebody died at 60 means he has not completed 100
Yes.
of his allocated time. He died earlier.
In third canto, there is a whole chapter on time. The calculation of time. So it's that he describes. Actually, that was one of the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. How different species they perceive time. So different age of different living beings in different planets. So that's what it will be described there. So now Brahmaji, he gets darshan of Vaikuntha. Tasmai swalokam bhagavan sabhajitah
तस्मै श्लोकं भगवान् समाजितः
sandarshayamasa param nayat param
सन्दर्शयामास परं
vyapeta sanklesha vimoha sadvasam
यपेतसङ्क्लेश विमोहशालितं
swadrishtavadpir purushair abhishtutam.
स्वदुष्टिवक्षे पुरुषङ्गरवि
Being thus very satisfied with the convince of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode, Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons, free from all kinds of miseries and fear of illusory existence.
Being pleased with the penance of Brahmaji, Lord showed him Swalokam Mahavaikuntha. He showed Brahma the Mahavaikuntha, Swalokam. Tasmai, unto him, Swalokam, that his own planet, Mahavaikuntha. Chakravarti Thakur writes, Mahavaikuntha. And which is, because he was pleased, Sabhajita, he was pleased by the penance of Brahma, Sandarshayam, he manifested. Na yat param, there is nothing superior to that planet. And what is the characteristic of that planet? That planet is Vyapeta. Vyapet means completely free of Sanklesha, 5 kinds of material afflictions. Vimoha, without any confusion. Sadhvasam, without fear of material existence. Chakravarti Thakur writes, without fear of offenses. And that is praised by the Devatas. Swadrishtavadbhi, those who have perfectly realized the self, they can see that abode. That abode is Vibudhair Abhishtutam. Vibudhair Abhishtutam. Abhishtutam means it is worshipped by Vibudha, by intelligent people. So that's the description of the spiritual world. So Prabhupada in the purport, he describes about these things. So what are the 5 kinds of afflictions? What are the 5 kinds of sanklesha? Chakravarti Thakur writes, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Yes. These are the 5 types of sanklesha. Ignorance, avidya, raga, attachment, dvesha, envy, abhinivesha, and asmita. Asmita means hatred, and abhinivesha, clinging to the life, material attachments. So these are the 5 types of suffering. They are not there in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada writes that only by the practice of devotional service one can attain this abode. And all the other paths, they are of no use. they cannot take one to spiritual realization. They cannot take one to Vaikuntha realization. All the other paths, they end in trouble only and nothing more. There is no profit in biting husks without grains. Prabhupada is paraphrasing one of the verses of Brahmaji in the 10th canto comes, 14th chapter. Sthul tushavad hatina. Beating the empty husk of grains, nothing will come out. So all the other paths, they will not take one to spiritual world, only bhakti. So again and again, Prabhupada is telling that Brahmaji performed bhakti. He didn't do Ishtanga Yoga, he didn't do Jnana Yoga. Only bhakti he did. Then Prabhupada writes, here in the word, Swadrishtavadbhi is significant. One who has actually realized his self realizes the transcendental form of one's self. Impersonal realization of the self and the Supreme is not complete. Swadrishtavadbhi, one who perfectly realizes the self. That means he realizes, who am I? So Brahmaji realized, I am servant of the Lord. So he acted accordingly. And then Prabhupada also describes 5 kinds of material conditions: ignorance, material conception, attachment, hatred, absorption. In spiritual world, all these things are not there. There is no envy in the spiritual world. Our devotee, one of our devotees, Sudhamar, says, envy means no vacancy. Envy. No vacancy in the spiritual world. If you have envy, you'll be thrown down here. And then Prabhupada quotes this, Chintamani prakar satna sukalpa viksha. Okay. He continues. What else he saw? Pravartate yatra rajastamastayo Sattvam namishram nachakala vikramaha Na yatra maya kimuta pare hare
Mayatra maya kimuta pare hare
Manovrata yatra sura surarchitaha.
ranubhata yatra sura sura sitaha. In the personal abode of the Lord, the material mode of ignorance and passion do not prevail, nor is there any of the influence in goodness. There is no predominance of the influence of time. So, what to speak of the illusory external energy? It can't enter that region. Without discriminations, both the demigods and the demons worship the Lord as devotee. Hare Krishna.
So the further qualities of Vaikuntha are described. Pravartate yatra. What else prevails there? No raja. Na pravartate raja, na pravartate tama. And na sattva also mixed with raja and tamogun. Pure goodness is there. So that's how. No passion means no creation. No ignorance means no destruction. No goodness means no maintenance. So spiritual world means doesn't need any maintenance, no destruction, and nothing is created there. Everything is eternal, Chinmay.
What they do then?
पूरी रामायण खत्म होने के बाद पूछ रहे हैं क्या करते हैं वहां पे लोग. वैमानिका सललना चरितानि शश्वत गायन्ति यत्र शमलं शपनानि भरतु अन्त जलेनु विकसन् मधुमाधवीनां गंधेन खंडित धियाप्यनिलं क्षिपन्त. ये करते हैं. सबके पास पर्सनल चार्टर्ड प्लेन है वहां पे. वैमानिका, वहां पे कोई ब्रह्मचारी आश्रम नहीं है, सब गृहस्थ लोग हैं उधर. सललना. तो क्या कर रहे हैं वो लोग? चरितानि शश्वत गायन्ति. They are always engaged in singing the glories of the Lord. Although they are moving around in beautiful gardens of Vaikuntha with beautiful fragrant breeze blowing, they don't get disturbed by those lusty desires. गंधेन अखंडित धिया. उनका बुद्धि खंडित नहीं होता है. So they keep on singing the glories of the Lord. Somebody asked डिवोटी की, यार करेंगे क्या वैकुंठ में भगवान के पास जाके? खाली भगवान को देखते रहेंगे और भगवान हमें देखेंगे बस, और क्या? So we are saying that there are unlimited things to do, but Even if you are told कि आपको बैठ के भगवान को देखना है खाली, that is also sufficient to engage you for eternity. Because Krishna's glories and beauty keeps on increasing. तो आप देखते रहेंगे, अच्छा और कुछ हो गया, और आया, और चमत्कार. How does it happen? वहां पे जाके पता चलेगा. That's all. रूप देखी आपनार कृष्णेर होइला चमत्कार, आस्वादिते मने उठे काम. सौभाग्य यार नाम सौंदर्यादि गुण ग्राम, यही रूप नित्य तार धाम. Krishna himself is confused and attracted to himself. रूप देखिए अपनार कृष्णेर होइला चमत्कार. तो कृष्ण को भी चमत्कार हो रहा है, तो फिर बाकियों को क्या होगा फिर? अनलिमिटेड अपॉर्चुनिटी, आपके लिए बहुत सेवा है वहां पे, चिंता मत करिए. आपको बैठने नहीं देंगे. आप बोलेंगे तो भी बैठने नहीं देंगे. इसलिए देयर इज नो स्लीप, नो तमोगुण ना, स्लीप नहीं है. वहां पे बोलेंगे थोड़ा सा ब्रेक दीजिए ना, थोड़ा सो के आता हूँ. तो अभी वहां पे रात गोपियां बोली नहीं, रात में ही फ्लूट बजा रहे हैं, सोने भी नहीं देते. कोई ऐसा नौका विहार में पीछे बैठ के थोड़ा कराटे मार रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. कृष्णा इज ऑल अट्रैक्टिव, ही कैन कीप एवरीवन एंगेज्ड. इटर्निटी, फॉर इटर्निटी. So there is no rajogun, tamogun, sattvagun, nacha kala vikrama. There is no influence of time also. Only Lord is beyond time. You know, when Krishna enters Dwarka, all the Dwarkavasis, they come offer beautiful prayers. एक अच्छा उसमें बोलते हैं, Oh Lord, time does not affect you. नतास्मते नाथ सदांग्रि पंकजम विरिंच वैरिंच सुरेंद्र वंदितम परायणम क्षेममिहेच्छतां पर न यत्र काल प्रभवेत परः प्रभु. Oh my Lord, time does not affect you. You are worshipped by Virincha, Vairincha, Surendra Vanditam. That's how there is no time factor in the spiritual world. As it is said, no? Spiritual world is conspicuous by its, time is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. The world is conspicuous by the absence of kya hai wo. So that's how there is no time factor. So nayatra maya kimuta pare hare. So there is no influence of maya. So what to speak of the products of maya? Maya ही नहीं है तो उनके प्रोडक्ट से क्या होने वाला है? And harer anuvrata. So in the Vaikuntha, all the inhabitants are anuvrata. They are dedicated to the Lord. Vasanti yatra purushaha sarve Vaikuntha murtayah ye animitta nimittena dharmen aradhayan harim. In third canto Bhagavatam में आता है ना, again the description of Vaikuntha, there it comes. So Vasanti yatra purusha, there are all Vaikuntha murti, सबको सारूप्य मुक्ति है वहां पे. And what are they doing? Dharmen aradhayan hari. They are all worshipping the Lord. So anuvrata, and they are worshipable by devatas, asuras, and demons also, and devotees also. So this, I'm just seeing the Chakravarti Thakur's purport if he writes something. How these asuras, कुछ तो लिखे थे शायद इंस्ट्रूमेंट. It doesn't write much. After a description of Vaikuntha, the inhabitants are described. In that place, there are associates of the Lord. So first the Vaikuntha is described, then the last is Anuvrata Harir. So in that place, there are associates of the Lord who act in compliance to the Lord. This means everyone acts for the pleasure of the Lord. Now it is stated that Vaikuntha and the devotees are beyond time and Maya. The devotees there should be worshipped by devatas, demons, and the devotees. So Prabhupada writes, Chakravarti Thakur writes that devotees there are worshipped by even demons and devatas and the devotees. He doesn't write much. What does it mean when it is written? Anyways, I'll find out. I'll ask somebody. What does it mean? Demons are also glorifying the Lord's devotees. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Ekpad Vibhuti and Tripad Vibhuti. Ekpad is the material world, Tripad is the spiritual world. So it is not that exactly spiritual world is 3 times and the material world is 1, 4, 3, 4. It is just a way to describe this unlimited. Anything is described as 3 times more, matlab unlimited. 1 time, 2 times is understood. 3 times unlimited ho gaya. That's how it is described. So Prabhupada writes that even a leaf of a tree cannot be counted. So how can a foolish man count the glories of the Lord? It is unlimited. So only with the help of Vedic scriptures we can have some understanding of the spiritual world. And then Prabhupada elaborates how spiritual world is free of lust, anger, all the base qualities are not there. And then he describes material world is a reflection. Just like a rope accepted as a snake may be an illusion to a particular person, but rope is a fact and the snake is also a fact. Illusion of water on the hot desert may be illusion, but the desert and water are actual facts. Therefore, material creation of the Lord may be an illusion to the non-devotee, but to a devotee, even the material creation is a fact. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, it is not true. This world is not illusion, it is temporary. That is the understanding of a devotee. It is not illusion. And then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph that Jiva Goswami, he describes in Narada Pancharatra, he quotes from Narada Pancharatra that how transcendental world is enriched with transcendental qualities. Then he describes a little more detail about spiritual world, how it is separated from the material world by Viraja river. And that place is free of all the modes. It is pure goodness. Okay. Then, after describing 10 minutes. After describing the planet of Vaikuntha, after describing the devotees, now he describes those inhabitants' characteristic features. Shyamavadata Shatapatra Lochana.
Shyamavadata Shatapatra Lochana.
Surucha Shupeshasaha.
Sangachastra
Sarve Chaturba Havaunmishanmani.
Sarve Chatura Bhava
Prave Kanishka Bharana Suvarchasaha.
Prave Kanishka Parlata Suracha.
The inhabitants of Vaikuntha planets are described as having a green sky bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers and their dress is of yellowish color, and their bodily features are very attractive. They are just the age of growing youths. They all have 4 hands and all are nicely decorated with pearl necklaces and ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent.
So 11th and 12th, 2 verses described the inhabitants of Vaikuntha. Shyamavadata, they have sky blue complexion, like eyes like lotus flower. Vishangavastra, yellow color dress. Surucha, Shupeshasa, very attractive clothing. They are always youthful. That's how they are described. Next verse. Pravala Vaidurya Vinala Varchasaha. Pare Surat Kundala Mauli Malinaha.
Effulgent like coral and diamonds in complexion and have garlands on their head, blooming like lotus flowers, and some wear earrings.
So all the inhabitants of Vaikuntha, they are Brahma Bhuta, Prabhupada writes. They are all liberated beings. They all have Sarupya Mukti. Then all the inhabitants, they have their beautiful, effulgent, shining airplanes. Bhrajashnubhiryah parito virajate. Lasad vimana valibhir mahatmanam. Vidyotamana pramadottamayudvihi. Savidyudabhra valibhir yathanabaha.
Vaikuntha planets are also surrounded by various airplanes, all glowing and brilliantly situated. These airplanes belong to the great Mahatmas or devotees of the Lord. The ladies are as beautiful as lightning because of their celestial complexions. And all these combined together appear just like the sky decorated with both clouds and lightning.
Yes, clouds and lightning both are together present. So that's how there are so many airplanes are there that Avali bhi, they are all standing in a line. Airport पे जैसे line में खड़े रहते हैं. सब यहाँ पे airplanes line में खड़े हैं ऊपर. All the different, everybody has a different airplane. They are not waiting हमारा number कब आएगा. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that the place is filled with shining air vehicles, Bhrajishnu and shines with celestial women. So the place is like the sky filled with clouds. So clouds are like air vehicles. All the vehicles, they are cloud, and the women, they are flashes of lightning. So therefore it was like decorated with clouds and lightning. Then Lakshmi Devi is described. Shriyatra rupinyurugaya padayoh. Karoti manam bahuda vibhutibihi. Sinkham shritaya kusumakaranugayir. Vigiyamana priyakarma gayati.
The goddess of fortune, in her transcendental form is engaged in the loving service of Lord's lotus feet, and being moved by the black bee, or flowers of springs, is not only engaged in the variegated pleasure service to the Lord, along with her constant companion, but is also engaged in singing the glories of the Lord's activities. Hare Krishna.
So Sri Riyatya, Lakshmi Devi in the Vaikuntha, what is she doing? So she is always at the feet of the Lord, Urugaya Padayo, and Karoti Manam Vibudha Vibhutivi. She is she is worshipped by the black bees, the followers of the spring. And what is she doing? Prenkham, as she is sitting on the swing, Prenkham. Sometimes Lakshmi Devi also there, she is swinging. So what she is doing? She is singing the glories of the Lord as she is swinging. Whatever they are doing, they are always remembering the Lord. So that is understanding. Third canto also Kapil Dev describes as the form of the Lord he is describing. So there he says, Lakshmi Devi, she is always seen massaging the feet of the Lord. Janu Dvayam Jala Jalochanaya Jananya. That verse comes there. After this, the Supreme Lord, Brahmaji saw the Supreme Lord himself. So 15th verse, we'll stop here. Dadarshu tatra khila satvatam patim. Patim Jagpatim Jagatpatim.
Shriyapati Yagapati Jagatpatim
Nanda Prabhalaradibihi.
Sunandananda Prabhalaradibi
Sadagrahi Parisevitum Vibhu.
Swaparishada Parishevitam Vibhu. Lord Brahma saw in the Vaikuntha planets the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the entire devotee community, the Lord of the goddess of fortune, the Lord of all sacrifices, and the Lord of the universe, and who is served by the foremost servitors like Nanda, Sunanda, Prabhala, and Arana, his immediate associates.
So now Brahmaji, after seeing all the beautiful scenery of the Vaikuntha, all the planets, all the Vaikuntha Vasis, now he's seeing the Supreme Lord. Dadarsha, he saw there, Tatra. Akhila Satvatam Pati, the Lord of the entire devotee community. Shriyapati, Yagyapati, Jagatpati. You know, when the Devatas, they come and they offer prayers to Krishna in the womb of the Devaki, there also similar verse comes. Shriyapati, Yagyapati, Prajapati, Dharapati. Says Patir Gatis Chandhaka Vrishni Satvatam Prasidatam Me Bhagwan Satam Pati. That's how they say there. So now Brahmaji is seeing the beautiful Lord surrounded by his associates. So you'll never see the Lord alone. It's like you don't see Prime Minister moving around, akele ghum rahe hain sadak pe, koi bhi nahi hai saath mein. No, it is not there. So one time a devotee painted scenery and he thought Krishna must be there. So he painted Krishna also. And approve karana padega na, so Prabhupada ko dikhaye. So Prabhupada said, which verse? Prabhupada, Krishna in Vrindavan. Now where, which verse is this? Prabhupada, Krishna is unlimited. Prabhupada said, Krishna is unlimited, but you are limited. Stick to the verse. So that's how, all the paintings, they are always, describing some verse of Bhagavatam. And you will never see Krishna alone. Either a parrot will be there or peacock, a cow, or somebody will be there. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
I'll put the question paper on the group. Hare Krishna.